The groom who vanished, 1 year to the truth. I checked my phone for the 100th time that morning. Still nothing from Ryan. My stomach twisted into knots as I stared at our last text exchange from yesterday afternoon. Can't wait to see you at the altar tomorrow. Love you more than anything. R. Just finishing up my vows. See you soon, future husband face-blowing I guess. That was 18 hours ago. Now it was 9:17 a.m. and my wedding was scheduled for 2 p.m. Ryan wasn't answering calls. Hadn't come home last night. His best man, Derek, hadn't heard from him since the small bachelor dinner they had 2 nights before. He's probably just got cold feet, my sister Jenna said, arranging flowers in my parents' living room where we'd stayed the night before the wedding. Men freak out sometimes. But Ryan wasn't the freaking out type. In our 3 years together, he'd been steady as a rock. Methodical. Dependable. It's what I loved about him most. My phone rang, and I nearly dropped it fumbling to answer. Hello, Emma, it's Derek. Ryan's best man sounded out of breath. I went to Ryan's apartment. His car's gone, but his phone is on the kitchen counter. And he hesitated. And what? My heart hammered against my ribs. His passport is missing from the drawer where he keeps it. The room tilted sideways. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. Call the police, my mother said firmly, taking the phone from my trembling hand. 3 hours later, I sat in my wedding dress on my parents' couch, while Officer Ramirez took notes. So Mr. Crawford has no history of depression, substance abuse, or erratic behavior? None. I said, my voice hollow. 50 guests were already at the venue, being told by my father that the wedding was canceled. He was excited about the wedding, about our honeymoon to Maui next week. Officer Ramirez nodded sympathetically. And his family? Both parents deceased. Only child. I'd always felt sad about Ryan's lack of family, how it made him throw himself into his work at the investment firm. He has friends, but not many close ones besides Derek. And financially, he's doing well. Just got a promotion last month. The officer closed her notebook. Ms. Chun, I wish I could tell you this is unusual, but the truth is, sometimes people do disappear by choice. Cold feet happens. We'll file a missing persons report, but I knew what she wasn't saying. Ryan had likely run away. From me. From us. My phone chimed with a bank notification. I glanced down absently, then froze. Unusual activity alert. Transfer of $87,500 from joint savings account to unknown account. Officer, I said, my voice cracking. I think you need to see this. The next 48 hours were a blur. The police investigation revealed that Ryan had withdrawn nearly all our joint savings, money we'd been saving for a down payment on a house, then apparently fled the country. There was record of his passport being used at Toronto International Airport, but the trail went cold after that. Security footage showed him boarding a flight to Frankfurt, Germany, alone, carrying only a small duffel bag. My wedding dress hung untouched in the closet as I sat surrounded by half-packed honeymoon luggage and unanswered questions. His apartment yielded few clues. Everything was normal, even a half-drunk cup of coffee on the counter, as if he'd planned to return. His laptop was gone, but police found nothing suspicious in his cloud accounts or email. Friends and co-workers were shocked. No one had noticed anything unusual. The Ryan they knew wouldn't do this. The Ryan I thought I knew wouldn't do this either. The media caught wind of the story. Jilted bride, vanished groom missing money, and suddenly my face was on local news. Wedding day disappearance ran the headlines. My phone exploded with calls from reporters and strangers offering theories. I shut it all out and focused on the practical matters. Canceling vendors, returning gifts, explaining to concerned relatives, and trying not to fall apart completely. 1 month later, he had another identity. Detective Lisa Morales said, sliding a folder across the table at the police station. I stared at the grainy photocopy of a driver's license. Ryan's face, but with the name Andrew Pearson. How? I whispered. We don't know yet, but it seems Mr. Crawford or Pearson has been living a double life for at least 7 years. The Andrew Pearson identity has credit cards, a bank account, even an apartment in Chicago. My mind reeled. Chicago was only a 3-hour drive from our city. Had he been going there? Living another life while with me? Was he married to someone else? The question that had been haunting me for weeks. No evidence of that. But he maintained this separate identity for years before meeting you. I thought about our relationship. We'd met when I was 27, at a friend's birthday party. Ryan had been charming, attentive. Our relationship progressed naturally. Dating, moving in together, and finally, his proposal at the top of the Hancock Tower during a weekend trip to Chicago. Chicago, where his other identity had an apartment. The money trail leads to a bank in the Cayman Islands. Detective Morales continued. From there, it disappears. He was prepared for this, Emma. But why? I asked, the same question I'd been asking for a month. Why propose? Why plan a wedding? Why wait until the last minute? The detective had no answers. Neither did I. 3 months later, life had to go on. I returned to my job as a graphic designer, threw myself into work, and tried to piece my life back together. Friends worried about me. I'd lost weight, wasn't sleeping well, started therapy to deal with the betrayal and confusion. My therapist suggested that moving out of the apartment Ryan and I had shared might help me heal. So I found a new place, a small 1-bedroom with a balcony overlooking the city park. The day I moved in, I discovered a small box I didn't recognize mixed in with my moving boxes. Plain cardboard, unmarked, sealed with packing tape. Inside was a burner phone and a handwritten note. Emma, I can't explain everything now, but I need you to believe that I love you. And leaving was the hardest thing I've ever done. Please keep this phone charged and with you. One day I'll call and explain everything. Trust no one. I nearly dropped the phone like it was on fire. My hands shook as I read the note again. His handwriting. Unmistakably his. I should call Detective Morales. Turn this in as evidence. But I didn't. Instead, I plugged in the phone, watched it power up, and placed it in my bedside drawer. And waited. 6 months later. The call never came. Life developed a new normal. I dated a little, but my heart wasn't in it. I checked the burner phone daily, kept it charged, but it remained silent. Then one evening, coming home from work, I noticed a man in a dark suit sitting on a bench across from my apartment building. Something about his posture, the way he pretended to read a newspaper but watched the entrance, sent alarm bells ringing. The next morning, he was there again. And the next. I mentioned it casually to my neighbor, Marcus, a retired cop who walked his dog every morning. Want me to have a word? He offered. No, it's probably nothing, I said, though my instinct screamed otherwise. That night, I photographed the man from my window. His face was partly obscured, but I sent the picture to Ryan's burner phone with a simple message. Someone's watching my building. Is this related to you? No response. 3 days later, I came home to find my apartment door slightly ajar. Heart pounding, I called Marcus, who came immediately. We searched the place together. Nothing seemed missing, but someone had definitely been there. Drawers slightly out of alignment, books rearranged, and the burner phone, gone from its hiding place in my sock drawer. I filed a police report, but didn't mention the phone. Something told me that whatever Ryan was involved in, bringing the police deeper into it might be dangerous. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every noise made me jump. Around 3 a.m., my regular phone chimed with a text from an unknown number. Check your email. Delete this message. The email contained only a link to a secure messaging platform and a username-password combination. Once logged in, I found a message. The people watching you are dangerous. Pack a bag. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., go to Union Station. Buy a ticket to Milwaukee. Don't take it. Watch for a woman with red hair and a green scarf. Follow her. I'll explain everything soon. Delete this account after reading. The message was unsigned. Was it from Ryan? A trap? Was I going crazy even considering following these instructions? But the next day at 1:45 p.m., I found myself at Union Station with a small duffel bag, heart racing as I purchased a ticket to Milwaukee. I waited, scanning the crowd. At exactly 2 p.m., I spotted her. Striking red hair, green scarf wrapped loosely around her neck. She moved purposefully through the station, never looking my way. Taking a deep breath, I followed. The redhead led me through the station, onto a street, and into a coffee shop 2 blocks away. She sat at a table in the back, still not acknowledging me. As I approached, she stood, leaving behind a newspaper. Without a word, she walked past me and out the door. Under the newspaper was a key card for the Marquette Hotel, room 847, and a note. Wait there. My heartbeat thundered in my ears as I left the coffee shop. This was insane. I should go home, call Detective Morales, tell her everything. Instead, I hailed a cab to the Marquette. Room 847 was at the end of a long hallway. I stood outside the door for several minutes, gathering courage, before finally sliding the key card. The room was empty. Standard hotel room, curtains drawn. On the bed lay a manila envelope. Inside, a new phone, a passport in my name with a photo I didn't remember taking, $5,000 in cash, and a note. Watch the news tonight. After, you have a choice to make. The phone will ring at midnight. Beneath it all was a small, worn photograph. Ryan and I on our first vacation together in California. I had the same photo framed in my apartment. I sat on the edge of the bed, clutching the photo, and waited. The news broke at 8:37 p.m. I watched it on the hotel TV, my blood turning to ice. Breaking news. Federal authorities have arrested 12 individuals in a massive financial fraud scheme centered around investment firm Westridge Capital. The firm's founder, Maxwell Harmon, and several high-ranking executives are accused of running a complex Ponzi scheme that defrauded investors of more than $300 million. Ryan's firm, Ryan's boss. My phone, my regular phone, exploded with messages from friends who knew where Ryan had worked. I ignored them. At precisely midnight, the new phone rang. Hello. My voice was barely a whisper. Emma. Ryan's voice. After 9 months, hearing it made my knees buckle. I sank onto the bed. Where are you? What's happening? The questions tumbled out. I'm sorry, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I never wanted to leave you, especially not like that. Then why? I could barely get the words out. I discovered what Maxwell was doing 6 months before our wedding. The fraud, the offshore accounts. I gathered evidence, planned to take it to the FBI, but Maxwell found out. I listened, stunned, as Ryan explained how his boss had threatened not just him but me. He showed me pictures of you leaving work at the grocery store. Said if I went to the authorities, you'd disappear. His connections run deep, Emma. Police, FBI. He has people everywhere. I couldn't risk your safety. So you ran, took our money. I needed to disappear, make him think I was running with stolen funds so he'd focus on finding me. Not you. The money is safe, what I took plus interest. I've been working with a separate FBI division, one I was certain wasn't compromised. Tonight's arrests were the result. My mind raced. The man watching my apartment, Maxwell's people, they suspected I might contact you. That's why I couldn't call the burner phone. They were watching too closely. What happens now? I asked. Silence stretched between us. That's your choice, he finally said. In that envelope is everything you need to join me. New identity, money to travel. I'm somewhere safe. We could start over. Or you can walk away. Return to your life. I wouldn't blame you after what I put you through. I closed my eyes, emotions warring within me. Relief that Ryan hadn't simply abandoned me. Anger at his unilateral decision to disappear. Fear about what joining him might mean. I need time to think, I said finally. You have until tomorrow morning. If you want to join me, go to O'Hare Terminal 5. There's a ticket waiting in the name on that passport. If not, his voice cracked slightly. Destroy the phone and everything in that envelope. You'll never hear from me again. The line went dead. I didn't sleep that night. I paced the hotel room, weighing my options, my mind churning with questions. Ryan had left me on our wedding day. Let me believe he'd betrayed me, stolen our future together. But he'd done it to protect me, to bring down criminals. If his story was true, could I forgive him? Could we rebuild what we'd had? Or would the shadow of his deception always hang between us? By morning, I had my answer. 1 year after the disappearance, the small cafe overlooked a picturesque harbor. Sailboats bobbed gently in the turquoise water as locals and tourists strolled along the waterfront promenade. I sipped my coffee, watching a group of children chasing seagulls, when a figure slid into the chair across from me. Your hair is shorter, Ryan said, his eyes drinking me in. Your beard is new, I replied, studying the face I'd once known better than my own. Tanner now, lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. We sat in silence for a moment, a year's worth of distance between us. Thank you for coming, he said finally. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't. The day after our midnight phone call, I'd gone to the airport, passport and ticket in hand, stood at the gate for an hour, watched passengers board, then turned and walked away. Not because I didn't love Ryan still, I did desperately, but because I couldn't build a life on a foundation of secrets and half-truths. Instead, I went to Detective Morales, told her everything, and asked for her help contacting the FBI agents Ryan had worked with. It took months of interviews, legal depositions, and security precautions, but eventually, the truth came out. Ryan had indeed discovered the fraud at Westridge Capital, had gathered evidence at great personal risk. His boss, Maxwell Harmon, had indeed threatened my life when he discovered Ryan's betrayal. But Ryan's solution, disappearing without a word, had been his choice alone. I received my official pardon last week, Ryan said, interrupting my thoughts. The FBI confirms I can safely return to the States now. All charges dropped. Maxwell and his associates will be in prison for decades. So you're free, I said. Yes. He reached across the table, hesitated, then placed his hand over mine. The question is, are we over? I looked down at her hands. The engagement ring he'd given me was long gone. Returned to his empty apartment months ago. I understand why you left, I said carefully. But you made that decision for both of us. You didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth, to let me choose. Pain flashed across his face. I was trying to protect you. I know, but a marriage, a real partnership, means facing dangers together, making choices together. Around us, life continued. Waiters served tables, tourists took photos, the mundane beauty of an ordinary day. When you left, I continued. I had to rebuild myself from scratch, learn who I am without you. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but also clarifying. And who are you now? He asked softly. I smiled, feeling the weight of the past year, the grief, anger, confusion, and finally, acceptance, settle into something like peace. Someone who knows her own worth, who won't accept anything less than a full, honest partnership. Ryan nodded slowly. And is there any chance that I could be that partner? That we could try again? Not pick up where we left off, but start something new. I studied him. This man I'd loved, lost, and found again under circumstances neither of us could have imagined a year ago. I don't know, I answered honestly, but I'm willing to find out. Slowly, relief washed over his face. He squeezed my hand gently. I have something for you, he said, reaching into his pocket. Not a ring. We were far from that now, but a small wooden box. Inside lay a key. What's this? I asked. The money I took, plus what I've saved this past year. I put it in a trust in your name. Enough for that house we wanted, or college, or whatever you decide. Ryan, Whether we try again or not, it's yours. No strings attached. He closed my fingers around the key. Your choice. Always your choice from now on. The breeze off the harbor carried the scent of salt and possibilities. Behind us lay a year of secrets and separation. Ahead, a path undefined. I tucked the key into my pocket. Let's walk, I said, standing. We have a lot to talk about. As we strolled along the harbor, the space between us still charged with hurt and hope, I realized the truth I'd learned during my year alone. Love isn't enough without trust, and trust, once broken, must be rebuilt word by word, day by day, choice by choice. Sometimes people disappear, sometimes they come back, and sometimes, if you're brave enough, you can find your way to something new together, something stronger because it's been tested, because you've both changed, because you now understand the true cost of love and the value of honesty. We walked, two strangers who once knew each other intimately, beginning the long journey of rediscovery. Whether we'd make it all the way back to us, I didn't know. But for the first time in a year, I was ready to find out. The end.